Hey Sean, how's it going there,
Jesse,
Mud?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Wait a minute,
Yeah,
are those killer clowns?
got some killer clowns. Got let's see, I
Yeah.
got Twister back there somewhere. Got
Wow. I've never seen Killer Clowns. Can you believe it? And I did the Kyoto Brothers TV show, which was the Amazing Live Sea Monkeys.
oh no, I
But
cannot
I've never
believe
seen
that.
Killer Clowns.
Well, we have to change that. Next time
I
you're at a
believe me, I know.
a con in Texas, I'm going to bring you a DVD. That we're going
There
to
you
make something
go.
happen.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's jump to Traumatica. Deeply, disturbing.
Yes.
There's family trauma, supernatural
Yes.
horror,
Yes.
surreal moments, a little bit of everything. Kind of a mixed bag, but a very fun ride. Um, were you aware of the blend? You know, whenever you sat down to film your scenes?
Well, here's the thing. I had seen Two Witches.
Yes.
And Rebecca Kennedy and her husband started a production company at the same time. We all kind of decided to do two production companies, and then we'd co-produce stuff together. After I worked with Rebecca on Crust, my movie, the uh, that I wrote, produced, and whatever. And I saw Rebecca kind of going, "Oh, I like what he's doing," and she was basically a director and a producer, but just not physically doing it. So I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
"That ends. You're too smart for this. You're way ahead of everybody." So when we, pulled this together, part of the thing was so those guys, Pierre and Max, came to see Crust and they enjoyed my thing, and they shoot in pieces, little pieces. It's not a schedule and one thing. When they find the time and when they know they can get it right, then they shoot. They don't just rush and slam stuff down your throat with the schedule. So they knew they needed this part, and they had said, we'd love to have Sean do it. And so the only thing I knew is when Rebecca and I would be doing business and she had to zoom in, you know, she'd be like, "Hey, I got 15," and I'd be like, "What?" She'd have her makeup on, and I'd like, "What are you doing?" So I didn't know, but here's the truth: neither did my character. My character
Gotcha. Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
anything. All my character knows is, this guy was asking me, "Do you have to say it a certain way?" I go, "Dude, all I have to say is, don't touch this. That's it. Like, don't."
Yeah.
My joke has been today that, like, at the beginning of The Exorcist, you see the guy in the desert. He's about, and then some guy comes in and goes, "No, no, no. Let's go home. Leave the desert. Let's go get a pina colada. Let's get out of here." I'm that guy. And all I needed to know was that I'm telling my business partner not to do that. I don't need to know anything else. And then, I did know obviously what happens in a general sense and how bad it gets. And that's when I shoot my, "I told you so" scene kind of thing. But it was so quick and efficient that I forgot I was even in the film. Like, Rebecca would go like, "Hey, Dramatic is doing well." And I'd go, "I don't even," I go, and she goes, "Sean, you're in it." And I go, "Oh, that's right." Because when you move that quickly, a lot of the quality's so bad, but they spend so much time on post and marketing, and they spend the money where it's supposed to be spent. A lot of people spend it on the production, and then they get a terrible editor, and it all falls apart. They're so talented, those two guys, that it's just a pleasure to be able to work with them. So
Yeah, I mean, that answered a lot of my questions right there
yeah.
because it did feel very tight. Like from the viewer's perspective, it's hard to decipher if it's filmed with the rest of the cast just because of your delivery, as well as Sean O'Brien. Uh,
Yeah.
both you guys killed that conversation just because it felt very back and forth. Was with that scene, was there multiple like versions of that script, or was it just
There were
kind
times, no, I mean, there were times when, I mean, a lot of it was just funny. The things that messed us up the most were my glasses and reflections, and when to take them off and stuff like that. Like, if I leaned in like this, the light would hit it and mess it all up. So we had to like choreograph a time when I would, some things like that, or um, and maybe they'd say, "Let's do one a little more panicked. Let's do one a little more frightened," you know, uh, just to have some flavor to it.
yeah.
But it was, yeah, and they had already filmed his part, so I got to watch him. So they showed me some of his taking the phone call, so that was really helpful too. But it's just, as actors, I think my best acting was one of my movie Crust, because with directing it, I had no time to overthink. And you don't want to sit there and overthink and go, ooh, but what about this? What about, no, no, no. You're telling your friend not to open the box. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
you're doing. Just don't touch you. And that's as simple as it needs to be is, is just, it's going to be really bad if you open that box. That's all I needed to accomplish. That's what I'm doing in the scene. And to overthink that would be, then I'm doing actory stuff that doesn't make sense.
Well, I will say that it did come across both natural and urgent. So kudos
Well, thank
for
you.
that.
Good.
With the TV interview, the piece that happened
Yes.
later in the
Yeah.
film, was that emotional, with that vulnerability, was that scripted or was that kind of the same?
It was in the script that he's upset, but I brought that to it,
Yeah,
um, because the it's the overwhelming guilt, right? I didn't do enough.
yeah, yeah.
I obviously didn't do enough. I should have jumped in my car. Do you know what I mean? And driven over, I didn't do enough. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I see that, but at the same time, you know, he didn't really. I mean, without spoiling it, I mean, you couldn't.
No, no,
Yeah,
I couldn't do that. I mean, look, but that's what they always say. Children of divorce feel that way. Of course, it's not the children of divorce's fault, but you feel that way.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So my scene was not based on logic. It was based on shame and sadness that this happened when I knew it, when it was easily prevented,
Awesome. Yeah,
easily
yeah.
preventable.
I and I also want to touch on, with indie horror especially, it often requires the trust of your director's vision. And it
Yes,
does sound like you guys had that in place. There's limited resources.
right.
Can you touch on, maybe, is there any other experiences maybe that you interacted or encountered when working on Traumatica? Like, was there any
No,
other
I mean, I
trust?
was literally there for 2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours. Okay.
I was there for 2 hours on a Saturday morning, like a year ago.
Wow.
And that's how efficient those guys are. But then again, look, I'm not trying to blow my own horn, but they got an experienced actor who knew how to do it. It's not like they have to go, okay, hold it. Do you understand that you're trying to stop? You know what I mean? They don't have to tell me those things. I
Yeah.
know those things, and I know, and really, it's just like if you're conducting an orchestra, you're like, oh, bring up the winds, bring down the. They're just calibrating me to fit. And like I said, because I know Sean from Rebecca, and because I got to watch his thing, I knew what I needed, and so they knew to say, okay, this part you can slow it down a little bit, or so I gave them flavors. That's what we do as an actor. We give you a flavor so you have stuff for the editing room and you get to decide in the tone. But yeah, literally 2 hours, and that was it.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
again,
that's
that's my character. I wasn't. They go, oh, did you feel bad? I go, no, that's not. My character doesn't know what's going on.
yeah.
He never knows what's going on. He just knows not to. I said, so the reality of being isolated and shooting it is literally the life of my character anyway.
With the scene where he's pleading, and you're looking at the computer, was that actually pulled up on the computer or was that green screen?
They
Or
had they had a image, but then that's but then what happens is the lighting doesn't work, so you're looking at a lighting thing, and so that's
yeah.
we've been acting on green screens for years. I mean, Star Wars did it. You know what I mean? So you have to use your imagination to see it. But they showed me what it was. I read it and looked at it, so I knew what I was going to be looking at.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was curious. I work in production and we kind of deal with that a lot too. And then, you
yeah,
know, famously lately, it seems like that War of the Worlds is kind of getting ran through you know, everyone's catching that green screen reflection in his glasses. So
right.
I will say that with this film, it did feel very, very clean and tight and
Yes,
edited and
yes.
realistic. And I guess to kind of wrap up, like, there's not really much else to discuss with Traumatica. And I do want to commend you and congratulate you on Crust. I've
Oh, did
followed
you see
your
it?
yeah, I thought, yeah, and I've been following you on social media, so I've been
Oh,
kind of
great.
seeing the
Yeah,
whole ride. So
right.
congratulations,
Oh,
man.
thank you. Thank you. I'm very proud of that movie. It's It just got its foreign distribution, and I feel like it's really going to be, it'll do really good in these art house culture like France and, oh goodness, like France and then I just think and then places that like weird movies like Japan,
Yeah, yeah,
I think
definitely.
they'll fall in love with crust. I can see Japan going nuts over that. So, but it really had a kind of a janky release, and so Anchor Bay has kind of taken responsibility for that, and we're kind of doing another launch with the DVD and a detergent box and everything. So it'll be
Yeah,
cool.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I saw that. Is to kind of sever things appropriately, is there anything that you want audiences to get out of Crust? Because I think that both films are worth mentioning, but now that I have here, I want to know, what do you want audiences to get out of that film? Because your hands were in and out of that in every which way.
Well, I've dealt with depression and anxiety, and I think the hardest thing is there's no quick fixes. I think that's the message of the movie. There's no quick. It's cruel because you have to do the hardest work at a time where you're not going to see the results for months, and you wanted it over yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's why everybody goes, that's why character Russ drinks. That's why, Neela wants to be famous. That's why, everybody just wants an instant fix, and there is no instant fix, and unfortunately my character has the Godfather demise of, from a good guy, and then gets sucked in, to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
power of it all,
Well, it's interesting, the themes of trauma kind of impact both films.
Yes,
So
100%.
we at least I can use that to piggyback. But
Yeah.
Sean, thank you so much for your time here at CineDump. We
Thank
let the
you.
viewers know how they're doing, and you, sir, are doing just fine. Congratulations, and
Thank you, Jesse.
I'm so stoked for the releases of both of these films. You are an
Thank you
incredible
so
actor.
much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's very kind. Have a great day.
You too, buddy.